your thoughts about selecting all left-handers on your team?
Well, that would take a very large set of cojones. It's bang or bust, and there it is. And I will tell you quite frankly that I had many good years after that incident, but I was not the same passionate bowler ever again. That was a pretty tough blow for the rest of my career, because I bowled for a living because I was still good at it and I was making a living at it, but I never had the heart for it that I had prior to that. And I don't know if I've ever articulated that before, but that's the fact. It didn't really change the way I worked. I still worked with intensity, and I still worked with sometimes a little too much anger, but the core love of what I was doing was diminished. It was a long time ago, and even though there's still a little scar tissue, it's not something that I think about. And I'm blessed to be doing pretty well here in Southern Oregon.
Let's bring in our guest, Josh Blanchard, to start here. Josh, welcome to the program today.
What's up, guys?
It's from sunny Arizona, it looks like.
102 degrees today, so gotta get your sunscreen.
Have you ever considered trying to make the first automatic drill press?
No, but I'm still working. I know patent pending, whatever you want to call it, but an app where you just take a picture of your hand and it's going to give you your exact specs.
You're working on that?
Yeah, currently working on it. Yep. You take a picture on your phone of your hand. It'll tell you what your span's going to be. Not your pitches. Pitches you have to kind of guesstimate based on flexibility. But yeah, you take a picture of your hand, it's going to tell you your span. So bowlerx.com, I guess that's your sponsor there. Somebody can buy a ball online and then just take a picture of their hand and you'll have their span.
But let's bring him in now. Let's introduce the Out of Range podcast superstar, Derek Hartnell. Hello, Derek. How's it going, man?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Now, Josh, you mentioned how good of a bowler Derek used to be. And Derek, you have probably, I don't know, I want to say it's your biggest claim to fame for you, but one of your biggest moments in your career was your match against Chris Barnes, when Barney was challenging someone at every tour stop. But Derek, you were one of the people that beat Barnes in those matches. What was that experience like?
Yeah, so it was kind of weird because the red, white, and blue tournament was there at North Rock that week, and there had been 50-some 300s because it was all on house patterns. So Billy comes up to me, my coach at the time, and said, "Hey, I'm putting together a group. We're going to back you against Barnes on Saturday." And this has already been after I missed the cut. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Yeah, Barnes is challenging anybody up to $5,000 to bowl him in a 3-game match." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, whatever." So come to find out, leading up to that day, Mika, his roommate at the time, was bidding up against Billy and them. So I think the total dollar amount wasn't $5,000. I think it was $3,200. But I get there Saturday, we're bowling 3 games, and I mean, I'm nervous, really nervous. And Josh, how many people are there? Like 250 people?
And everyone was cheering for Derek because we were in Wichita.
It was packed.
Yeah.
So I bowled first 2 games, and like you said, I'm trailing 80. He shot 289 game 2, and I'm sitting here like, all right, just shoot 230. Let's get out of here, make it respectable.
Okay, hold on a second here. So this is a 3-game match, and you're down 80 pins?
Yeah.
I think it was 79 to be exact. Yeah, so I think if I remember it correctly, Barnes starts with a strike, and immediately my eyes look, I'm like, all right, he's just going to wax me, right? So I think I start with the first 3. And his second and third frame was split 3-6-10, and he made it. And then I left a really good 10-pin, spared it, and then I ran the next 3. And he was like spare split, and then he split twice leading up into the 7th frame. And I can't exactly remember what happened, but he got to the 10th frame where I was looking at the score. My max was 258, I believe. And he needed a mark in the 10th to lock me out. He had to finish first. And I think he moved back right because he was lost. I had jumped him. I moved further left than he did, and he was kind of seeing some transition. And he went through the face, left 4-6-7, I believe, and got 2. And I needed the first one in the 10th to lock him out. And I mean, most nervous I've ever been in my life. And I got up there and just labeled it.
It was,
And
one
struck
of the
out.
loudest, it was one of the loudest environments I've ever heard of out of like a TV show.
Yeah, it was nuts.
But we're having another beautiful guest on today. So I pulled out my Glamour Shot glasses, and I want you to describe to the folks at home, Matt, what this does for my look.
Yeah, I think wow, man, just look at, you've got the nice blue shade going. You got your eyes are really popping. Eyebrows are on fleek. It looks like, yeah, man. Oh yeah, the smile really makes it all work. The smile really brings it all together. And honestly, if I saw you walking down the street, Mike, I'd probably run the other way. But other than that, Mike, you're looking great. And I think you should keep those. Can you even see through those things?
Oh, I can see just fine. Matt, bring yourself up on the screen and put some fingers up, and I'll tell you how many you're waving up. So
all right.
test number 1 here at the optometrist. 2. That's 2.
Nice.
Yeah, I can see with no problem.
How
So
many is this?
you're tricking me. It's like 2.5, maybe 3. So what do we have for my options for today's Bowler X poll question, Matt?
If we had a Mr. Bowling Universe pageant, who would win this contest? And the 4 options are Jason Belmonte, Chris Vi, Kyle Sherman, and Marshall Kent.
That's going to be tough to beat. This young lady has made a lot of shows. We see her on Fox Sports. We've seen her on ESPN in the past. So let's bring in our guest from California, Miss Kimberly Pressler, to the program today. Hello, Kimberly. It's nice to have you here.
Hi, guys. How are you?
We're doing good. You listened to our banter on the Open, and I saw you laughing as you're backstage.
I was. It was actually really funny. I'm going to have to give my 2 cents. I actually have a question about the poll you guys are going to do today, because you got to take into consideration what they're going to be judged on. So I had
definitely no swimsuit competition for this.
Come on now, you have to have that. Like, I don't mean like, they don't have to be like little Speedos, but imagine they're gonna have to put on some board shorts and show little abs here. It's only right. It's only fair.
I agree with you 100%. I'm not afraid.
Yeah, you're not afraid because you're not in the contest.
So I mean, it's not like it's a requirement for someone to have tattoos to catch my eye, because I've dated people in the past that don't have that. I find tattoos very, very, very delicious.
I love it. I want to bring Matt back in to get us back on track here. And I
was thinking of adjectives in my head. I was like, "Where's Kimberly going to go with this?" And delicious was not one that was. I did not think you're going to go there, but good for you, girl. You tell me what you're about.
He brought Mac to it, and he's literally as red as his shirt.
Today, Matt, we've got ourselves what I would call, I don't know, maybe I might call it a shit show today, because we're going to try to bring more people on the screen and onto the show today with more moving parts than we ever have on this show. And we're excited about this. I can see right now with the look on your face, and if you're listening in audio form right now, you can't see this, but Matt is just, I can see the insides coming out of just how much fun this is going to be today. I think the first person that we should bring in is their fearless leader, and the person that knows the most about the company, because his father was one of the founders of the company. Let's bring in Brad Handelman and see if Brad's got a copy. Brad, how you doing?
Hey guys, how's it going today?
Doing good. We're 1 for 1, Matt.
Well, let me just say one thing. Tony Mendiola, who's not on the call, is really the one that we all answer to. So he's the guy who drives it all forward. We're just, little parts of the plan.
Scott, I had a conversation with a very high business executive within the bowling industry about 6 months ago, and on that particular dinner that I had, we were talking about the greatest salespeople in the history of bowling. If you had one guy that had to go out and pitch bowling to the world, who would it be? And that person said Tony Mendiola. So let's bring in another great guy. Let's see if we can get Mike Stout up here on the screen, as we've had 2 guests before. Mike, can you hear us today?
Yes, I'm loud and clear so far.
Yes, Mike.
Looking good.
Good to see you, man. Let's bring in the shoe special. Let's bring in Jason Guest. Let's see if we can get this will be our first time with 5 on the screen. JG.
Yeah. Hey, fellas. How's it going?
Wow. Here we go. Okay. It's not broke yet, man.
Nobody move. Nobody move.
I'm anxious to see if he's going to be professional today or if he's going to be a crazed lunatic like I love him for. So with no further ado, let's bring in and try for the first time to get 6 people on here at one time, which will be a championship round. First time happened for you and I, Matt. Let's try to bring in Robert Lawrence. Robert, can you hear us today?
I can. Thanks for having me.
Matt, we did it. We got 6 people here, man.
We got 6 people, and with the help of the internet here, I just found something that may or may not be considered gold.
Oh no, that you can take that down. Okay, that's enough.
I thought you were going to show him winning a major title.
No, everybody knows he's a major titleist, but not everybody knows that Rob Law's got some dance moves like that.
Oh no. Well, I was going to try to be professional today, but and I figure somewhere along the line I'm going to say something stupid. But then you started off with that, and professionalism is out the door.
Last thing I want to say is we kind of tease Jason because while Tony has been his agent and maybe is no longer, Jason has been your agent secretly for 2 years. And we have made fun of him for that on a constant level.
So first of all, I met these guys when I was working for Ebonite International, and we struck up a deal and we were working together. And then I gave them one of my employees that works for them now. And then they dumped me. They completely dumped me. Didn't want to work.
Need a new agent
anymore. Right. So Jason, you're fired.
As I kind of see it, I think it's good for business that I'm still out there bowling with these people, not only pro shop customers, but consumers. And I've never been one that's been a little too shy or afraid to talk. So I talk to everybody. So I think it's good for business.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob. What about you, Jason?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you weren't afraid to talk.
When Jason came to join, he couldn't tie his own shoes, let alone design a shoe. So he figured that one out.
He might have said something nice about y'all, and we'll never know.
Yeah.
I was saying thank you. You guys have been great, so I appreciate it.
Yes.
There it is. There it is.
Not on our acknowledgement here, so thanks for repeating that back.
So let's bring him in from Baltimore. Let's bring in Danny Wiseman now to today's show. Welcome to the show, Danny. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thanks, Mike. Hi, Matthew. Thanks for having me on. So the history, gosh, I used to wait for my Bowlers Journals to come in every week, watching ABC Sports on Saturdays. And then as I got older, the Bowlers Journal and the Bowling Digest and the Bowling Magazine, they were the ones that, I've got every issue. Going back to probably 1969, I found someone who had a bunch of issues from the 60s and 70s that I was able to get, but I have been collecting them forever, and I have every issue. As time went on, getting into the mid-90s when Reactive came out, I got stuck there for a couple of years, and I had to make an overhaul. And you can see that through my timeline. When the bowling balls and the environment changed, I had to change, and that took a lot of work, a lot of dedication, a lot of time, and a lot of persistence because it was frustrating. When I didn't make a cut, I'd sit there and I'd watch the guys who were bowling well and figure out what were they doing that I'm not doing, that they're becoming successful, and I have to make those changes. You watch the late 90s, it was 97 in Pittsburgh, the touring players. I lost to Steve Hoskins. I went home the week before that, and I practiced 5 steps, eliminating the slide that I had worked so hard to develop because you had to be open. The swing plane had to be a lot steeper coming in as the reactive and proactive balls got stronger. The angles and the heads had to be open, and I was still sliding. So I was too squared up and my hand was too far behind it. So I went home and worked on it for a week. I took the Teflon off my heels. That was how I used to slide. And then I put a rubber heel on, added a step, stood up instead of crunched over, and just made myself do it. And just worked and worked and worked. And I went out there in Pittsburgh and I led the daggone tournament. I saw the writing on the wall. You know, I mean, the game was changing. I didn't want to put the work in and evolve with it. And I didn't want to be one of those guys where I had to try to beat the kids. And, you know, time waits for no one.
Yeah, and I think that's a good lesson to be learned to the folks that are establishing careers now. When you win and you start making money, let's take a guy like Chris Prather, who's won a lot of money recently.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very important for him in the future to make sure that he invests his money wisely. And I
talked to him.
Have you really?
So, you know, I talked to these guys and said, look, be smart with your money, invest it, get into other things. You know, EJ's got some business things going on, and Prather, you know, he got a house and smart guy. I mean, and let me tell you what, when I saw him throw the ball, I went right to Billy Hall. I said, I want to throw it like that. How good is that guy? I mean, it is effortless power. And it's just in any era, that guy, I mean, stupid good.
Which brings me to a topic you did not want to talk about, but this is how I found out about
it. Get a drink of coffee here.
Is Jason Belmonte was promoting you when you were recently, this is pretty recent, within the last month, you were in Fox 45 Sports Unlimited Baltimore's greatest athletes bracket competition for March Madness. And in the first round, you were a 16 seed in the bracket, and you went up against the Babe.
I just put something out on Facebook, and next thing you know, I beat Babe Ruth. I mean, come on, he's you know, top 5 greatest baseball players of all time. So, you know, I got the vote, I guess, because I'm here. I guess I could say that. And, you know, so we go on to Travis Pastrana, beat him. And then Carmelo Anthony was from here. And then, of course, the one that I should never have beaten would be the greatest Olympian of all time, Michael Phelps. But here's the deal. I mean, you know, the bowling world stepped up. Once I threw that out there, it started just going from, I mean, everybody was sharing it. And I was like, man, this has gotten out of control, you know, but it was fun. I mean, I'm not sure that the station really, you know, anticipated what happened. And I know some of the later on the Orioles fans rallied, and they didn't like the fact that a bowler was beating, you know, Cal early in the week. And they rallied, and they ended up getting Cal into going up against Johnny Unitas. And again, I was honored that they even included me with all the great athletes from our area. Before, look at that. Wait a minute.
Was that Sean Rash learned that from you?
Did the right
thing. Yeah. That was an early balk. That's probably the only time I ever did that on TV. Yeah, this was hard to shoot this 10-pin. You know why? Those ball returns, you got to remember, I slid 2.5 feet. Watch my back trail leg when we get into this. Watch this, right? Yeah. I just miss it. If I kick that ball return, I miss that left. And I did that multiple times during the week.
And I also remember seeing through here, you've always had beautiful words for your mother. I know how close you were to your mother, and I know she's been with you for a while.
Oh, you're very welcome, and I appreciate the kind words. I mean, it's been 4 years since she's been gone, and her birthday's coming up here in a couple weeks. I miss her every day. You know, I miss my dad. I mean, I lost my dad in '92. You know, he was there at Firestone. But I do greatly appreciate the words, tearing up. Yeah, I mean, everyone, you only have one mother and one father. Cherish them. Cherish them for your lives, you know, because you never know.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for checking out our show. What a great week we had with PBA Hall of Famers Marshall Holman and Danny Wiseman, the folks from KR Strikeforce, Josh Blanchard and Derek Hartnell, and, of course, PBA sideline reporter Kimberly Pressler. If you like the show, be sure to check us out Monday through Friday on Facebook Live and on our YouTube channel. Also, if you've missed any past shows, you can watch them on YouTube as well as podcast form on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play. Lastly, I'd like to thank all of our guests who came on the show. Without them, we wouldn't have a show. And of course, Matt and I would like to thank all of you listeners for watching and participating during the shows.